Not everyone, though, is a fan of the president's pick. 314 Research co-founder Warren Pye is writing on X that Kevin Warsh was the worst pick of the four candidates and will not garner trust from the market. Warren joins us this morning to talk more about that. Warren, appreciate the time. As always, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're not alone either. I think RenMac has been fairly critical. What do you think is the problem with this pick?
Yeah, as I laid out there, I think that he is working at cross purposes with what Trump ultimately has stated goals, which is get rates lower. I think that ultimately Warsh is going to, he hurts Fed independence. I think that's number one, and that's his track record that I referenced in that tweet, which is that he has a history of being wrong, and usually on the hawkish side. He was too hawkish going into the GFC. He was hawkish coming out of the GFC, and then come 2024, he flips dovish. I think that hurts his credibility and his independence, and that flows through his less trust in the market and a higher term premium. I think the second thing, kind of related to that, would be he's gonna have a hard time, given that track record, building consensus. Ultimately, there's going to take a consensus to cut rates. So whenever, I think that the rough path for rate cuts is still going to be intact. But when you get to a marginal case, is he going to be able to drag those other independent Fed governors and voting members over the finish line to build consensus? I think that his track record and the way people are looking at him skeptically hurts his ability to do that. And then the third thing, which I think is related to Trump's pick and why I think it might end up being an own goal for Trump, is that you look at the market. I think the market looks at him and says, okay, he's had all this rhetoric about shrinking the Fed's balance sheet. And one way that they're looking at that is saying, well, maybe he can't shrink the balance sheet right now, but come the next crisis, will he be very slow to expand the balance sheet? You might have a view that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but ultimately from the market's viewpoint, that lowers the Fed put somewhat. It makes it a harder bar to clear for the Fed to get involved if there is a crisis. So when I look at all that, I see higher rates, less credibility, and ultimately a lower Fed put. And those things, I don't know if Trump knew he was getting all that with Warsh.
Right. When you say higher rates, I assume you mean a steeper curve, right? More emphasis on the long end?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, even if he gets cuts, there's the yield curve and term premium are kind of synonymous in my view. And so as trust goes down, term premium goes up. Another way of saying that is the yield curve steepens, and we've seen that reaction in the market since Trump officially nominated him.